Hi, welcome back to Box Delights. Today we're playing Ironclads, a ship-to-ship tactical tabletop battle game brought to you by Triple Ace Games, designed by Robin Elliott and Dave Mortimer. This is very much something different for me. This is a print and play game. That's right. It's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm doing a Kickstarter preview for you. Triple Ace Games lent me these models so that I could demonstrate it for you. But if you were a backer, you wouldn't get any physical components at all. You'd get a PDF rulebook, you'd get what they call STL files for 3D printing the ships, printing your tokens, all these markers that you need. You're going to have to bring your own dice and print your own cards out. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that in more detail in a moment. The beauty of this print and play thing means no matter where you are in the world, there's zero postage. There's a relatively small charge to get the game, but of course there is the overhead of printing this at home. This is a game very much aimed at model builders, model collectors, people who really want to get into the world of Ironclads, a steampunk world set in a Victorian ether. I want to demo the gameplay for you. In the game, you're a fleet admiral and you are managing a fleet of ironclad ships. You're going to manage your fleet, you're going to fly your fleet, and you're going to fulfill missions, competing against up to 2 other opponents. There are solo scenarios, there are 3-player scenarios, though it's primarily a 2-player game. And there's 3 nations to choose from. There's the German nation, the British nation, and the American nation. You'll get the print files, you get the card files, and you'll get a substantial rulebook. Now, Triple Ace Games, they're used to building RPGs. The first 15, 16 pages of the rulebook will be history, setting the scene, building this world. So this is a game that's going to invite you to really get involved in the world of Ironclads and building your models. This is a custom-built cruiser, the HMAS Royal. They have a stand, they have a flag to say what nation, what their name is, but also they have these little magnetic hardpoints because each of your ships can be completely customized. These are the stats, so you'll get a template. You'll get a template for the hull of the ship, and then you'll get different templates for the different armaments that can go on ships. So, for example, this is a guided torpedo. These are naval guns, and this is a turret gun. And each armament brings its own stats. So you'll have these different hard points on the different classes of ship. Drop these different types of armaments, different types of guns and so on your ship. And if you're building a fleet, maybe you'll have a 500-point fleet, and you'll spend those 500 points on the different hulls, different armaments, different stats, different officers even, officers that bring their own little modifications to the rules. So you can really customize stuff. What I'm showing you today will be like a quick start rules where it says that here's some models, this is how to configure them, this is the stats to give them, kind of pre-built if you like. Just print them out, build them, and get playing. And obviously you'll want to invest some time in printing, painting, getting all your livery correct. These are resin models, so the files are optimized for resin printing. If you've got a 3D filament printer, this is an asteroid. So like all good miniatures games, there is terrain in the game as well. This is an asteroid. Obviously we're off in the middle of the ether, so there aren't hills and rivers, but there are things like asteroids in the way. You can print them, but obviously, I don't know much about 3D printers, but you can imagine the more you spend, the better it becomes, right? Anyway, we'll look at some of these stats and how these things work when we get going. But the key thing to remember is that all this stuff is customizable. All right, so if we look at the HMAS Royal, she's got 3 hard points with 2 naval guns, and then a turret gun at the rear. Now let's get set up and show you how this thing plays. We're going to be playing 2 against 2, 2 ships against 2 ships. We've got the Germans, we've got the British, and each has a destroyer and a gunboat. We're playing on a recommended 3-foot by 3-foot area. We've got an asteroid in the middle, and this is going to be a mission where we're just fighting to the death. We've got to destroy the other team's ships. look at the Kickstarter campaign, but you know, there's going to be other missions too, like capture the flag, King of the Hill, that kind of stuff, as well as last man standing. Start your ships within 3 inches of the edge of the play area. So we'll have Germans down this side, the British down this side, asteroid in the middle here. Alright, let's start learning some of the game mechanics, and we'll see what makes this game different from other tabletop miniatures games. The key are these command tokens. Each turn in the game is basically split into 3 phases. We've got the command phase, where we place our command tokens out on the map. Orders phase, when these commands get enacted, and then we've got a maintenance phase, which is kind of like a little clean-up, check for game end, that kind of stuff. But what about these command tokens then? So we've got a pool of command tokens. Each admiral here, I've given each admiral 7. And these command tokens are basically instructions to ships in your fleet. So I've got 2 Ironclads that I can command, and I can, on a given turn, I can use up to 3 of these command tokens. I'll show you what these commands mean, but basically they're commands to move, to attack, right, that kind of stuff. And these are hidden, these are secret command tokens. For a given turn, choose 3 of these command tokens. Let's say I choose these 3. Once I've chosen my command tokens, I can put these out in space somewhere. Okay, so I choose to put it. Let's choose to put this one here. Now, there's no measuring allowed. I don't know how far this is from my Ironclads, but what's going to happen is these are kind of like little probes, little droids that me, like Napoleon on a hill behind the battlefield, I'm the fleet commander back at the mothership, sending out into space, into the ether, these little capsules, and in these capsules are commands, and they're hovering here physically in space. The other thing I can do is I can send a command directly to one of my Ironclads. So let's say with these 2, I actually want to send a command directly. So I'm sending this command directly to SMA Richthofen, our destroyer, and our gunboat Adler. Okay, they each get a command token. I didn't have to do that, but I could do. So I've ordered those ships directly. Meanwhile, the British fleet is doing the same. In fact, we're going to take turns, right? So I place a command token, they place a command token, and back and forth it goes until we've each placed 3 command tokens. Let's have a look at the British. And this is very much an asymmetric game. Okay, we don't all have the same commands. Okay, I'm going to do something slightly different for the British. I'm going to place them like this. Maybe in here. Maybe in here. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. And these command tokens have got multiple orders on them. So we're going to action this one. We're going to trigger the Richthofen. We've got a full steam ahead icon. We've got a action order. And we've got a maneuver order. Maneuver, let's start with maneuver. Maneuver is how we move our ship. Okay. Now, the Richthofen stats say, for a hull of this type, class destroyer, it's got propulsion of 2. What that means is this ship gets 2 flight templates. These are flight templates. This full steam ahead order, with the little flight template icon with an arrow, says we get an additional flight template every time we do a maneuver. So we're actually doing 3 when we maneuver. Now, how do these flight templates work? We line up the arrow with the front of our ship. If we're going, we can either go straight forward or straight back. Right, that's how your Ironclads move. But before you start ordering, I should say, I've kind of shuffled these armaments around, but you can also rotate your armaments. Your flight base is an octagon with 8 directions. The direction they're facing is always with respect to the middle of your ship. All right, so if we want the guns to point straight ahead, we'll do this. If we want them to point full to the right, we'll do this. Or you can point them kind of a quarter right or a quarter left. All right, so these 8 directions. So if you want to move your armaments, do so before you start moving your Ironclad. So we're going to have both of our armaments pointing this direction. All right, now let's start moving. So we've got 3 of these templates. If I wanted to just move once, with a propulsion of 1, it would just do this. All right, but I've got a propulsion of 2 plus full steam ahead, so I can move 3 times. So I could go full steam ahead 3 spaces forward like this. All right, job done. But you'll notice some other numbers on here. There's minus, there's 1s and there's 2s. All right. This second statistic, so this is 2 propulsion. This is steering 3. Steering 3. What that means is throughout the course of this maneuver, I can actually start spending these numbers. So let's say I did this. That would cost 1 steering point. That would cost 2 steering points. Okay, so that would be a total of 1, 2, 3 plus 2, 3 steering, which is what I've got. Right, and that would move the ship like this. So your ships are quite manoeuvrable, and how manoeuvrable they are is determined by the number of steering points. All right, now as it goes, I want to go like this. So let's go like this, heading towards the enemy. Right, that's that maneuver order done with a little flight bonus of full steam ahead. Now the double arrow, this is the action order. So with the action order, I can either engage or I can maneuver again. Let's maneuver again. So I've got my 2 propulsion, plus 1 from full steam ahead. Okay, gives me 3. And I got 3 steering points. So this time I'm going to do this. I'm going to steer slightly to the right and then right again. And that's 1, 2 steering. And I'm going to do this. And what you'll see now is my armaments are pointing this way, straight at our enemy. All right, that's the Richthofen order complete. Now my opponent can choose to activate an order. All right, so we're going to take turns back and forth, pick an order, activate, trigger the ships that are associated. Now you'll notice the British have been a bit smarter. They've got 1 command token here that's going to trigger both of their ships. So they're going to both move off 1 command token. This one's done its job. He's gotten close and he's near this next one as well. He's within short range, right, within 4 inches of this command token. So next time. So let's have the British trigger this one. It's a maneuver action. Now let's have a look. We're going to trigger both of these ships, and I'm going to have their armaments. Let's move these this way. Let's have these move this way. Now notice that they can't come all the way around, right? Your rear ship can't point, armament can't point this direction. But if we do this, let's do this. All right. We'll have this one stay pointing forwards. Let's do the acorn first. And you'll notice with a propulsion of 4 and potentially 3 manoeuvres, this thing's going to move like 12 of these in one turn. So these ships are fast. We've got a steering of 3, but we're going to go full steam ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I've kind of misjudged this one. We didn't use any of our steering points. But after you're finished moving, you can rotate in place. We've got 3 steering points left. So we could, if we wished, use 2 to rotate like this. But I'm just going to use 1. I'm just going to rotate like this. Okay, 1 steering point. Then next order is action. I'm going to move again. And I've got 4 propulsions, so I'm going to move 1, 2. I don't want to barge this order out of the way. 3, 4. Can I just squeeze in next to this asteroid? I think I can. Okay, let's say we're here. Now, there's no collisions in this game. Ironclads never collide with each other. And also there's there's no altitude, right? This is like a 2-dimensional playing field. Of course the ether is a 3D space, and they've got plenty of space to manoeuvre themselves to avoid collision. However, I could have collided with an asteroid. So just on here, my base bumped up against this asteroid. Of course, I could have just gone 1 flight template back. But if you collide, remove your last flight template. okay, and move one space back, and then you're going to take some damage. And the amount of damage an asteroid does is 2d6. So you roll the dice, and 4s, 5s, and 6 are damage. 1, 2, 3s are misses, 4, 5, 6 are hits. So in this case, I rolled a 4 and a 5. We've done 2 damage to the HMS Acorn. You can just use dice to mark this damage. And that's what this other third stat is, the hull. Okay, so we've got propulsion, steering, hull. This is how much damage you can take, 5. So we've taken 2 damage. 5 damage will destroy the ship. The next stat is crew. How many crew are aboard? We're obviously playing with basic rules right now, but there's different types of crew that bring their own abilities. Armaments require crew to operate. So if you end up losing all your crew, certain weapons can kill crew. If you lose your crew, then you can't operate your armaments. Your ship could be captured. A ship without crew is just a big immobile hulk. We've got 0 Marines. Marines are a special type of crew used to fight anyone trying to board your ship. There's all sorts of levels of complication to this game. The last stat here is armor. So when we're taking hits from enemies, we can try and reduce that using our shields. This is armor. None of our weapons, actually the Coventry does. The Coventry has armor of 1, so maybe we'll show you that in action. Alright, so we've nearly completed this order. We've done 2 maneuvers, and we've done a maneuver and then an action. We've got a third action left. Perhaps we want to engage. Alright, let's look at our ships. Let's look at our turret gun. Now again, let's choose to fire at our turret, and then we'll decide afterwards what the effects are. What we can't do is measure the distances between us and our targets and then decide whether we want to fire our guns or not. So let's use our turret gun, and let's pick our target, the Richthofen. Next thing we do is we need to measure. Alright. There's a red section. Different weapons will have different firing arcs. So at the moment, this one says whichever way our weapon's pointing, it uses the firing arc of that section of our base. So if we look out here, we can see that we have the Richthofen in our firing arc, which is this one here. The bad news is he's out of range. Okay, this is the 8 inches is the limit of our range. Right, we're measuring base to base distance. If we hadn't hit this asteroid, let's assume we didn't. All right, let's assume we didn't hit this asteroid. Let's just, I don't remember where we got to, about here. All right, so we're within the firing arc. Okay, there's our firing arc. And the range here, base to base is, let's say it's long range. All right, so we're at long range. This gun says at close range we roll 2 dice, it's short 2, medium and long we roll 1 die. Any dice that roll 4, 5 or a 6 count as a hit. A 6 is a critical hit. Critical hits cannot be blocked by armour. Now as it goes, the Richthofen doesn't have any armour. If we were firing on the Coventry's got 1 armour, then you'd roll a defence die, and again a 4, 5 or a 6 will block 1 hit. Alright. Okay, so if we do roll the die, it's a 3, it's a miss anyway. Alright, let's say we rolled a 4, that would be a hit. Yeah, 4, 5 or 6 on the Richthofen. So combat's pretty simple here, 1 point of damage. But the key in this game is building up your ships, different types of weapons, understanding how to maneuver your guns. Alright, so back to us, or actually they've got another ship, so this guy's going to move. The Coventry has got propulsion 2. Let's get the Coventry moving, and it's got steering points of 3. So I'm going to come through here, 1, and then 2, and then I think we're going to turn in like this, and then for the third one we're going to move again like this. That's these, and now these guns are pointing this way. This gun is pointing out the what is it? It's pointing this way, so still not within our firing arc and still beyond long range. You do have additional, so we've got long close, long short, long medium. So things can go at huge distances, some weapons. Now how are things worked out here for the next turn? So this one is within range of this, he's in within short range of this order, so we're good here. This guy is within short range of this order, so is this one. So this ship here can now be triggered by 2 orders. If this one stays still, he could be firing again and again off both these orders. Do you see? You can do sneaky stuff. So the other thing is, this guy could, if he wanted to, move in and push this order and seek to push it out of short range of this one. Okay, maybe moving and turning, pushing this away, rotating its guns, turning into place, firing. All right, there's all sorts of tactical maneuvers you can be doing with your ships. A whole heap of fun. Right, let's put this guy back. So now it's the Germans' turn again. So they could move the Adler, who's sitting back here, is with a command token, or we could just use this one. So there's tactics now. Which orders do we want to do? If we did the Adler, it's got a propulsion of 3, then maybe, and let's have a look at this order. So it's maneuver with maneuver action. So we could maneuver twice with full steam with propulsion of 3. That would give us 4. So we could actually get up here with the Adler and I think that guy's within our firing arc, yeah, and just in long range. The guided torpedoes will do 2 damage, so actually we could roll 2 dice. We could roll 2 dice and engage rather than maneuver again. And we are still within short, so if we did that and we got 1 hit, that's 1 hit on the Acorn. He's got a hull of 5, remember. And then we could use this one. We could potentially bring the Coventry back towards this command token with this one. Have this one fire. This command token could be using both to fire. I mean, there's so many tactics. So this whole maneuver, use your command tokens system gives you such a wonderful experience with playing the game. Let's have a look at some of these other orders. So it is asymmetric, so different nations have different orders. So this is a repair order, for example. This repairs 1 damage. This one, this is engage. This is just a straight up engage. This action is engage all maneuver, remember. This square one here, this is a barrage. This gives you +1 die at close or short range. A couple of different orders for the Germans. This one here is helmsmanship, unlimited steering points. Right, so if you use that, you can really maneuver your ship. This is a renew orders command. With a renew orders command, like here you see the Coventry moved out of range of this one. With the renew orders, you can pick up your orders. You sacrifice this order and then redeploy any remaining ones. Okay. So there's always second chances. You can kind of make sure that this order now has 2 Ironclads within the activation zone, or the trigger zone. Now we should just mention briefly before we wrap up the maintenance phase. So once everyone's finished triggering all their orders, they all come back to their respective teams. Then we have the maintenance phase. Now there may be ongoing effects. Maybe there's a fire burning on your ship which is doing damage. Maybe there's scenarios where the asteroid is spinning around the map. Maybe some ships have been destroyed. Their hull is reduced to 0. Right? They've taken 7 damage. And do a victory check. So during this phase you'll do a victory check. What scenario are you playing? Have I destroyed all my opponent's ship? That kind of stuff. Then start player moves around and we begin again and we'll repeat. And remember too, a big part of this game is going to be model collecting and building your ships. Right, here's the HMAS Royal, a cruiser. It's It's got 3 guns, a size 10 hull. Propulsion is only 2, so this guy's a bit of a lumbering hulk, but he's got lots of crew on board. You know, do I want torpedo guns? Do I want turret guns? But also you can build different contraptions on board your ships. There's like mining drills and circular saws. Some missions might require that you mine materials from asteroids, so you'll need like a mining drill for those kind of missions. There's so much to explore in the world that they've built. We've really only scraped the surface. Well, hopefully this video has given you an idea of what the gameplay is like. Go and check out the Kickstarter page. Watch as the campaign unfolds, because they'll be revealing more and more stuff as it goes on. And I'm really excited to see some of these solo scenarios as well. I'm sure there'll be plenty of variety. And this is a format that the team plan to keep developing for years to come. All right, if this is successful, which it will be if you go back, they'll be releasing new ships, new armaments, new scenarios, all sorts of content to expand on this game. That's it. That's Ironclads. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. We'll see you next time.